All right, y'all, we're going to get started. Thank you all for joining us this morning. We may have a few folks trickle in. Um, just to respect your time and make sure we get all your questions answered, we're going to jump right in. I know for those of you that sit on regular meetings with me, there's usually a fun icebreaker, but I'm going to jump right in this morning instead. Thank you all for your willingness to participate as a reviewer in our upcoming RFP. We are super excited to have you. For those of you who are maybe less familiar with review processes, this is your first time doing it. This is a great opportunity to ask questions. We will also be here to support all along the way. It's also a really good opportunity to just kind of get some practice doing it if this is the first time you've done it before. So, all right, we're going to jump right in with a little bit of background. Some of you, again, may be more familiar with the RFP that we have going out. So for those of you, you may have already sat through some of this initial information, but it's a good refresher. And quick agenda. So we're going to go through our funding overview. We'll talk a little bit about your roles and expectations. We'll go over some of the scoring guidance and logistics of how to submit, how you're going to score, etc. We'll give you some time for questions, and then we'll close out. This is also being recorded, so you'll get a copy of this if you guys need to go back and refresh yourselves along the way. You're also going to get some really helpful tips and tool sheets that go alongside this as well to support you in your scoring. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Pasetti.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. If we did not do a icebreaker, this is serious business. We are getting into it. So we are here to we're expanding our care coordination network, and we're doing that through the navigation program, and we'll fund community health workers and supervisors' time to deliver those care coordination services. So this is a new program for us. It's in a way a pilot program, but it's largely based off the Pathways program, which many of you are familiar with. So, like I said, we will fund CHW and supervisor time. You will help us do that. You will help us score these requests for proposals. We want to make sure that organizations are ready to do the job, right? Ready to do the program. It will be primarily a cost reimbursement type service contract, which I think many of you are familiar with through our Pathways program. They will be required to use our client management system, which is Care Coordination Systems, or CCX. So it's a pretty robust program, and we want to make sure that agencies are ready and prepared to do that, and to help staff and have a support structure that can do that. And so a lot of the RFP questions talk to that. And we want to make sure that they can comply with our data sharing, our documentation, or reporting requirements. And so, different agencies are in different spots, and you'll see a lot of different answers across the way. But I would also like to say, like, these 16 agencies that we have applying are really good. Like, we are really, really blessed in this situation right now to have so many qualified applicant agencies applying. So, similarly to the Pathways model and the no wrong door approach, the goal of navigation is to assist people in how or where they first seek help. Fundamentally, in alignment with our main funder, the Healthcare Authority, we need community health workers to screen for and connect clients to services for health-related social needs that may be at their own agency. We are going to focus on client-centered care coordination and then helping CHWs will help community members engage with health and human services. So, like pretty much everything we do here at Swatch, or at least our goal, is equity-centered, low barrier, and grounded in dignity and community trust. The navigation caseload size is going to be about 40. You'll see a question on the RFP that references a little bit higher of a caseload, but we expect that a CHW would have a caseload somewhere in the 30s. And so we want to make sure that they're able to manage that size of a caseload and to engage referrals to fill that caseload over the course of time. We all know that you don't build a 40-person caseload or a 35-person caseload overnight. So this is a progress. We don't expect a perfect agency right off the bat, or we're we're all growing in this process, but that's the goal we're trying to get up to. Typically, the episode of care for this program is going to look like about 6 months. It may be much shorter depending on the type of services that they're providing, but typically that episode of care from the point of that referral coming in to the point of discharge and the services being met would be about 6 months. And youth and reentry are a big part of our priority populations for this program. We consider youth newborn up to 24 years of age for this program. And reentry, that would be somebody coming out of incarceration, could be at any level of incarceration, the county or the state or the federal level. But that's a big focus and we're putting special emphasis on for this program. And you're more than welcome to ask questions throughout this. I know if this is a first time, it might seem a little overwhelming once we kind of dive into it, but we're hoping that we made a really intuitive process. So what do we do at Swatch? We are here to provide capacity building. That is the first 3 months of the navigation program, where we work with agencies to make sure they're ready to move to a service delivery. We do cost reimbursement, so we're paying for the program. We're the payer in this situation. We supply direct program costs and indirect costs. Indirect costs would be like overhead towards the agency. So that would help pay for anybody not directly supporting the program. Direct program costs would be outreach. It could be training for the community health workers. There's a lot of different things that could apply to direct program costs. Truthfully, I feel like this is a robust financial opportunity for agencies, and so I think that's why we got so many competitive applicants, which is a blessing. We have money that we need to get out to the community, and that's our role. And doing this program, I think we're going to do that. We provide a lot of training. There's a lot of infrastructure here at Swatch that focuses on training, not just for the program, but also some of the core competencies that a community health worker would have. Technical assistance, big part of what we do kind of behind the scenes is a lot of customer service, right? It could be from the supervisor to the CHW or the director level, whoever may be needing technical assistance with the program, anything from how to run reports to how to document within the system. We do a lot of different things like that. Networking, that has been a cool thing that has evolved over the last couple of years to bring cohorts of people together in the community to solve problems, whether your agencies do the same thing or different things, trying to bring people together who are caring about the community and wanting to make a better place for everybody. So when we get to the structure of this, right, we did the request for application. That was a very brief kind of a litmus test for agencies to assess where they're at and make sure they meet some of the minimum requirements. Right now, we have received all of the RFPs or the requests for proposals back, and we will notify agencies by the end of May. And so this is a pretty quick turnaround. There's about a week and a half to complete all of these scoring. But then the contract is designed with, the first 3 months of it are the capacity building phase, where we would expect an agency get moving, hire the CHWs and supervisors, schedule the trainings, make sure they have a good internal workflow for receiving clients, admin onboarding. So that might be like the invoicing and some of the data security. And of course, the tech readiness is also very much part of that. So those are the things we want to make sure an agency can complete in 3 months. That can be a lot or a little, depending on where an agency may be at. We don't expect perfection, right? An agency may have many employees and have a really good infrastructure in place, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're serving the most priority population. So it can be a real balance when you're grading these RFPs and trying to understand what is best for the community. And Mercedes will definitely speak to a lot of that later when you're actually reading the request for proposals. And then 3/4 of the contract is the service contract. That's doing the work. That's the community-based care coordination. So yeah.
Can I jump in here really quick?
Please.
So for the RFA process, that was open to any new partners. We had 21 applicants come through the RFA, And the purpose was to kind of help us understand who we could be successful in contracting with. We didn't want to move forward with anybody or ask anybody to expand more time if we knew we couldn't contract successfully with them if they weren't meeting those minimal requirements. For the RFP process, though, that also opened up to our existing agencies who are interested in expanding positions. So if they wanted additional seats, they are part of this competitive process. So you'll see them kind of noted as you're reviewing in there. So there's kind of two different avenues folks are coming into the RFP process. So in total, we have 16 RFP applicants. And for those existing agencies, they would not go through a capacity building phase.
We kind of covered this, but more than welcome to ask a question about it.
Cover that. Do you want to cover?
Sure. So we tried to make this as equitable as possible and really adaptable as possible when agencies were applying. So they could complete this. Most of them completed it via job form, which is just it's a really good program. It allows you to save and come back to the document and fill in answers. That was the kind of preferred method, but there wasn't any sort of punitive consequences if an agency went with one of the other versions. We also sent out a Word version of the questions so they could just type in into a Microsoft Word, which is something people are very familiar with. And then a video submission or an interview submission was also offered, so they could we could interview them just reading the same questions. There wouldn't be any sort of prompting. Nobody did the video or interview submissions, so just to throw that out there, but we did. We tried to make it available for people. So, most people, they did the Word or the job form. It's great.
Okay, I can jump in. Yeah. So some of the things that we're looking for, that you all will be looking for, is alignment with the navigation program. So in like the answers that you're reviewing, alignment with the navigation program, including outreach, screening, referral, and follow-up. Ability to serve individuals with higher complex needs, particularly those experiencing barriers to care. Community-based approach, including meeting clients where they are. Strong partnership and referral networks. Clear and feasible plans for implementation and service delivery. And readiness to meet capacity building and reporting expectations. So this is kind of just really high level. We're going to dive into it more. Each question has a really clear breakdown of exactly what you're looking for in it, but this is kind of the high level core guiding principles that we're looking for. So your reviewer roles and expectations. So your expectations are to attend this orientation and review the recording online. Review the scoring instructions. So after this, as I mentioned, you're going to get kind of a full email from me with a lot of info, kind of recapping this, sharing out a scoring matrix, a recording of this, and a little bit more of a scoring instruction guide that kind of recaps everything we talked about here. So you'll have lots of supporting documents to help you kind of along the way and reference material. So then you know, also initially when you see who you're assigned, I'll ask that you just review the applicants that you're assigned for any conflicts of interest. If you have any conflicts of interest that doesn't immediately kick you out or something, I'll just reassign you a new application so that we are being equitable. We'll get in a little bit more to what we consider conflicts of interest in this case, but kind of the best practices in this case, or if you're unsure, please just reach out and ask. We can talk through it and we can determine whether or not you can be impartial in scoring that person or that applicant, and we will then reassign you if that makes the most sense. So what we'll ask you then to do is read over the entire application, score each question, and complete question justifications, which again we'll get into, and then submit your reviewer packet by the 18th, and then we will have an optional debrief on the 20th. Calendar invites are to come. We'll give you a little bit more info on that. Either way, we will be following up with everyone just to get some feedback on kind of the process and what went well, what your experience was. If there are things that we could have expanded on further to help better support. As Basevi said, this is kind of a pilot program. This is also kind of our test pilots. We got a couple of folks here from our work group who helped us support standing up this RFP and getting to this point of a review process So we hope to get some feedback that kind of helps us just continue to improve for the future. So once again, this is our review timeline. So as you said, the RFP was due last Friday. Orientations today. Applications will be going out, hoping this afternoon. If not this afternoon, by first thing tomorrow, they'll be in your inbox. External applications are due by the 18th, and then a review debrief will happen on the 20th. As you mentioned, so conflicts of interest. Conflicts of interest, our community we know is really tight. Everybody kind of knows each other. We're like small enough community that we're familiar with agencies. Familiarity alone is not constituting a conflict. Conflicts that are kind of explicit are employment, if you work for an agency, or financial interests, board roles, close relationships, or close organizational involvement. If you like any situation that you feel you can't be fully impartial when scoring, I just ask you to let me know, and again, we'll reassign you. It's not punishment, just to make sure that we're being objective as possible.
Mercedes?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I apologize. This is Esra from the Community Foundation. I apologize. I'm on remotely, so I don't have my camera on for keeping internet. But back to the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was any other funders in here, but that last, the second to last bullet of close organizational involvement, would you consider for like a funder of the organization to be a close involvement?
I think this would probably be one of those cases where we talk with you, like if it's that you fund like a program that's very separate from this, maybe, or you funded an event one time for the organization.
We 100% fund programs that are separate.
Yes. Right. I know you do so much, like you do so much. Yes. So that might be totally different than, actually working alongside an organization that like applied for this funding, like if you supported them in getting to this point. So I think that would be the conflict that we'd have to kind of talk through, is deciding again if you could feel you could be impartial in this situation, and then just making sure like we have those disclosures.
Did that kind of clear? I'd be happy to call. Yeah, I would be happy to connect offline too.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's probably like our best guidance with that, because I know we also support a lot of events and community and stuff. We also support a lot of these opportunities as well. So again, that impartiality to the best of our ability. It's tough in a community that's so intertwined to truly find fully unrelated parties to score.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question. So you may still serve as a reviewer if your organization applied. We just will not have you assigned to any agencies that we have known conflicts. Again, we'll do our best to avoid any known conflicts. Everything I gathered from y'all, I did make sure that we did not assign anybody to organizations. If there's an organization that you get assigned and you're like, I don't know that I can be impartial, please let me know. And again, I'll reassign you. And then what I will ask is, again, that you just kind of give me confirmation that no conflicts exist, that you're good to score those. And again, when in doubt, just ask. You will have my all of my contact info at the end. You're welcome to call or text or email me with any questions, comments, concerns. So then the other confidentiality expectations and guarantees. So we ask that you do not share any of the applications that you receive beyond yourself. Do not discuss the applications outside of like the reviewer calls that we have, or directly with one of us. So Sevi, I, or Nicole's also here. And please protect applicant information. So like if you are printing off material, if you're like me, I am terrible at reading things on a screen. I like to print off the materials. Please make sure you shred any applicant material that you do come across. If you don't have a shredder, please redact or scratch out anything like with a black pen before you discard any of this. And then what we are guaranteeing is that your direct comments are going to remain confidential. So we're not going to pull anything you said directly and say, well, Tracy said this. We will make sure that we keep that confidential, and we're not going to disclose who scored any applications. So we want to preserve all relationships. So the scoring process overview. So our minimum requirement review happened. SWAT staff are going over it. Exhibit B. So the entire process consists of an Exhibit A and Exhibit B. One is more heavily kind of asking about their contracting stuff, their financial pieces, as well as some of the technology. Thank you. Technology and security requirements, things that we kind of assumed that would be tougher for y'all to score, since it is really specific to Swatch and what our requirements are. So we are having y'all score Exhibit B, which really focuses more on relationships and stuff. We'll talk more about that and their kind of capacity to mobilize the program, which we know y'all are experts in. So after we have gone through kind of this internal panel, we're also having an internal panel reviewing at the same time as the external panel. We'll compare results across from the internal and external. And then there may be optional if we kind of have really differing scores, or we're feeling like it's really kind of tight, we're struggling to make final decisions, we will provide, there's this optional presentation. So participants that are kind of in that close, tight finals may be invited to come forward for like a last interview with us, so that helps us kind of make final decisions. And I also want to just make sure I share here that Swatch does have final decision-making authority. And really, if we were to differ on anything that the panel decides, it would be primarily because we weren't able to like move forward with contracting, or they weren't able to meet one of the minimum requirements of the program. So I do just want to disclose that as well. We're going to work as closely as we can to try to move forward with the feedback of the group. But in the case something arises, we would also make sure that we keep y'all informed of our final decisions if they kind of differentiate. So the scoring overview. So as I mentioned, you guys are scoring section B, which covers experience, staffing, service delivery, capacity building, and reporting. And here's kind of the weight of the total proposal. So you all are not having to score out of like the 300 matrix. You'll see in a bit, it's pretty easy. Each question will be weighted out of 10. So makes it easier for y'all to determine kind of where they fall within that. And then the matrix will auto-populate kind of the totals for us. So the scoring scale. So again, as I mentioned, you're going to be scoring out of 10 for all questions, and then it'll auto-populate to that scale. So a high question or a strong response, something that is kind of in that 8 to 10 scoring range, would fully align with program expectations, demonstrate strong experience, or well-developed feasible plans. A partial or adequate response in that 4 to 7 range. Some relevant information is provided, but details are limited, unclear, or incomplete. They may not fully align with program expectations. And a low or a weaker response would be in that 0 to 3 range, limited or unclear, missing information, doesn't really demonstrate sufficient experience or understanding or feasibility of mobilizing their program. So this gives you a little bit of guidance. And as I said, each question really is kind of broken down with what would be strong, what a strong response to that question would look like. So you'll get something to go alongside. I highly recommend printing that guide out if you're able to, or just having it up alongside you on your screen, so you're able to kind of look back and forth as you're scoring. So the other thing we're asking is for each score, you'll be expected to provide a justification. And by that, I mean, we're trying to get a best understanding if there's variance across different folks. Different folks are rating really differently. So we're asking if you're scoring anything other than a 10, that you're also then providing like some areas for improvement, or what was missing in that question that may have led you to scoring a little lower. We do provide a lot of guidance around how to kind of craft an evaluative comment. So gives you some feedback on kind of how to word it in a way that's specific and kind of helps us get some understanding. There's also an optional section at the end of the application that allows you just to leave like any kind of final feedback on the applicant. So if you have just final feedback or thoughts that maybe weren't specifically captured in one of these questions, that you can provide it there, and that will just come to us again, the internal staff that are working on this process. Some other things, so equity and bias considerations. Again, our goal is to fund the strongest programs, not just the most polished proposals. So really we're asking that we focus on the plan, not just past experiences. Strong proposals could come from agencies with less formal history, but have really like strong plans to deliver. We don't want to score just on writing quality alone. You know, some organizations may have an internal grant writer or may have a ton of experience in writing for grants, and it may read as so. We also have a lot of other strong organizations in the community, but this may be one of their first times applying for a funding opportunity like this, and it may read a little differently. Again, we ask that you're reading for experience or ability to mobilize and not focusing just on how clearly it's written, writing quality alone. We also want to avoid favoring any larger or more resource organizations. Again, some of the smaller community-based organizations may demonstrate impact and trust in a little bit different ways, as long as they are still able to like meet those requirements that we're asking for. We would want them to also be scored equitably and score based on what's present. So we're asking really like look at the application, don't make assumptions. So try not to infer too much. If it's not explicitly written, don't assume. So don't fill any gaps based off of your prior knowledge, positive or negative. And then consider just different approaches. While effective programs may look a little bit different across communities. And so avoid like the one size fits all lens. So some tips for success. Read all the way through the RFP. So you'll get a copy of the RFP, read through all the supporting materials as well. And then when you go to read through a proposal, read fully through the proposal at least once before going back to score it. If possible, if you can take brain breaks between applications, that can be really helpful just so you can kind of approach with a fresh lens. Aim for consistency and then use your rubric as an anchor, and those scoring guidance will really help. I think once you get, my experience with reviewing, once you get through the first application, the rest go by pretty easy. It's usually the first one that takes kind of the most time just because you're figuring out the flow. After that, they tend to go a little easier. So how do we use the review sheet? We're going to jump over to that in just a second, but you're going to be getting score sheets both sent through an email and through a drive. You're going to be asked to save the workbook to your computer. It is kind of auto-populated. It's pretty easy to work within, but I'm going to ask that you avoid scoring it directly in the drive because everybody else is going to also be pulling, everyone else in your scoring group is going to be pulling from there as well. Within the workbook, you can enter text into any of the yellow boxes. I'm going to ask that you enter your name on the first page in the evaluator tab. That's how we'll know who you are. The tabs at the bottom of the workbook should already be pre-populated with the agencies that you're going to be scoring. And then your scores are set to automatically calculate and populate the totals. And if you don't already have the workbook set to automatically save, highly recommend doing that regularly. We don't want you to lose your work. And then finish scoring workbook. So once you're done scoring all the applicants that you've received, you can either send them to me via email or you can upload them to a link through JotForm, which you will receive in the email as well. So 2 ways to submit. You can always submit early. Please don't submit late. They ask that you get them in by the 18th. And if you have questions along the way or any challenges or issues using them, please reach out. Okay, before we go to Q&A, let's walk through the workbook quick. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to show one here, an example of one of the workbooks. Did you want to talk through it, Pacific? Or you want me to?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Okay, so this is what the workbook will look like when you open it up. Again, it'll be different based off of the review group. Everyone is assigned between 3 and 4 organizations right now to review. You may be assigned 1 or 2 more, just based off of if we have anybody else who's unable to attend or unable to score, you may be reassigned an application. But once you get in and you're ready to score an application, all of these sections in yellow should be open for you to be able to adjust, to change, and to leave your comments. So as I mentioned, that these scores will auto-populate. If you put an 8 in here, you're going to see it auto-populate to 80 below out of the total points. And then if you go to the main tracker, it also will show you kind of the total here as well. The other things that are important to note, as I mentioned, at the end of a section or at the end of the application, if you have additional notes, things that you feel like we should know, this is a place to put them on that main page. Is anything that you didn't feel like you got to kind of leave in prior comments that you felt like was important as you read through the application or stood out to you that you would want us to know. And then there's also a section, a little comment section at the end of each section that you can leave comments in if you feel like, again, there was something from that section above that you didn't get to quite encompass into your strengths or areas for improvement comments that you felt like is important for us to know. And there's a little, oh yeah, go ahead.
So the sections are color coordinated, and you'll see these same colors on each of the RFPs. So you'll go through the blue section, you'll go through the green section, that kind of thing. It's also somewhat designed, I think, where it makes it, it's somewhat easier to fit on a sheet of paper if you need to print out one.
Yeah.
Like it should fit on a sheet of paper. That's why it's not super wide, but it's more long. So that's just something to know. Anything you type in this note section on an agency is going to auto-populate to here. So you kind of have some notes and you can look at it all together. So that's just that's the overall agency notes within each agency tab. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Bisavi. I think those are the big things. As I mentioned, you are going to get a scoring matrix that goes alongside this. Where did my, there we go. You're going to get a scoring matrix that goes alongside this. Oopsies. And it will walk you through exactly what we're looking for in each of the questions. So are there questions initially from anybody? Y'all feeling like you're prepared at least?
The golden rule with that Excel sheet is like, if it's yellow, you can type into it. If it's not yellow, you can't type into it. Everything else is locked. So you shouldn't be able to break it. You know, you're not going to, it auto calculates. I made it to the lowest common denominator, which is me. So I'm hoping it works for everybody else. But I'm hoping it's as seamless as possible, but you can always reach out to Mercedes or myself if you have any questions about it.
Awesome. If any questions, I see there's one. Perfect. If there is any additional questions that y'all have that you think of once you've received your materials, please reach out and I will send, if there's something that I feel like is valuable for the whole group that comes along, I'll make sure I send just kind of another email. You'll also probably be getting some reminder emails from me throughout. So thank you again. We really, really appreciate your thoughtfulness and your time and your willingness to support us in this process. We really look forward to getting your feedback on all of this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy, it's good to see you.
It's so good to see you guys. Thank y'all.
I was stuck on mute. Good to see you guys too. Hi, Nicole. I know, but Sevi, I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know. Count your blessings. Tracy, we're just
I know.
assigning Recovery Cafe, just 4 applications of Recovery Cafe.
Okay. Okay, good.
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict. It's fine. It will be fine.